Hello children. Okay, now in our previous video we had seen in unit number 5 the 100 dresses part 1 that Wanda Petrinsky she won the sketching and drawing competition where everyone was expecting Peggy to win, but unexpectedly or ironically Wanda, a neglected girl of room number 13, she won this competition and everyone was puzzled, and teacher asked everyone to take a look of the 100 sketches of beautiful dresses she had done, and they were displayed in the room number 13 and the adjacent room over there. So the story continues further. While the class was circling the room, the monitor from the principal's while the class was circling the room, the monitor from the principal's office brought Miss Masson a note. Miss Masson read it several times and studied it thoroughly for a while. Then she clapped her hands. "Attention class, everyone back to their seat." When the shuffling of feet had stopped and the room was still and quiet, Miss Masson said, "I have a letter from Wanda's father that I want to read to you." Miss Masson stood there a moment, and the silence in the room grew tense and expectant. The teacher adjusted her glasses slowly and deliberately. Her manner indicated that what was coming. This letter from Wanda's father was a matter of great importance. Everybody listened closely as Miss Masson read the brief. So while the class was taking around and they were observing the sketches of Wanda's, the monitor from the principal's room, he brought a note, and that note was unbelievable because Miss Masson, she read it several times and she wanted the whole class to listen to it, what was written in it. So she made the whole class to sit on its place, and she adjusted her glasses, and the class came to know that it was something important that was there in that note, and Miss Masson wanted to inform it to them. So what was there in that note, which was written to the principal or the teacher, class teacher, by Wanda's father? "Dear teacher, my Wanda will not come to your school anymore. Jake also. Now we move away to big city. No more hollow Polak. No more ask why funny name. Plenty of funny names in the big city. Yours truly, Jan Petrinsky." So a deep silence met the reading of this letter. Miss Masson took off her glasses, blew on them and wiped them on her soft white handkerchief. Then she put them on again and looked at the class. When she spoke, her voice was very low. So what was there in that note? It was a short note or a message to the teacher from Wanda's father, and in that he had informed that Wanda would not continue the school there henceforth. Okay, and her brother Jake also, because so many children, in very few words, her father had told a big message he gave to the teacher, that no more funny names, no more teasing by funny names to Wanda, because they were supposed to move to a big city where already there were people of funny names, having funny names, so nobody would tease her. Here they were leaving the school because of the teasing, because of the Wanda's funny name. So in city no one would tease them. So this was the reason for Wanda's father not to send his children to the school. So reading to this, a deep silence spread in the classroom. Miss Masson, she took off her glasses, she cleaned her glasses with her white soft handkerchief, and she put on the glasses and she started speaking with very low voice. "I'm sure that none of the boys and girls in room 13 would purposely and deliberately hurt anyone's feelings because his or her name happened to be a long, unfamiliar one. I prefer to think that what was said in thoughtlessness. I know that all of you feel the way I do, that this is a very unfortunate thing to have happened. Unfortunate and sad both, and I want you to think about it. So in this way she informed the class. Now I know she knew it that no one had done it deliberately, purposefully. It was done because of the thoughtlessness of the children. Okay, it should not be done once again. And what had happened was unfortunate and sad both for her, because to tease a child by his or her funny name and to force the child to leave the school is not good at all on their part, on the school's part, on the children's part, students and teachers, everyone's. So it is not good. Being human, we should not tease anyone by his or her name and force that person to leave that place. It is easy for that person to leave that place and to then to live over there. So they made, especially Peggy and Maddie, they made Wanda to leave that place. So it was not good at all. So teacher assures and hopes that children would not do it again in future. The first period was a study period. Maddie tried to prepare her lessons, but she could not put her mind on her work. She had a very sick feeling in the bottom of her stomach. True, she had not enjoyed listening to Peggy ask Wanda how many dresses she had in her closet, but she had said nothing. She had stood by silently, and that was just as bad as what Peggy had done. Worse, she was a coward. At least Peggy hadn't considered they were being mean, but she, Maddie, had thought they were doing wrong. She could put herself in Wanda's shoes. So the first period was a study period, but Maddie here is not able to concentrate on her studies because all the time she was thinking about Wanda. Whatever treatment was given to Wanda by Peggy was not good at all, but she was thinking about herself. Okay, she didn't tease Wanda directly, but she was the partner. She was there with Peggy to tease her. Instead of teasing Wanda, she would have stopped Peggy from teasing her. And now she's considering herself a coward because she had not stopped her friend, her very close friend Peggy, from doing the wrong thing. And so she had put herself in Wanda's shoes. Now she has put herself on Wanda's place. How she would have felt if she would have been Wanda. Okay, so she would have stopped this thing to happen to the girl, the innocent girl Wanda, to leave the place. Okay, because of this thing she was feeling restless. Goodness, wasn't there anything she could do? If only she could tell Wanda she hadn't meant to hurt her feelings. She turned around and stole a glance at Peggy, but Peggy did not look up. She seemed to be studying hard. Well, whether Peggy felt badly or not, she, Maddie, had to do something. She had to find Wanda Petrinsky. Maybe she had not yet moved away. Maybe Peggy would climb the heights with her. And they would tell Wanda she had won the contest, that they thought she was smart and the 100 dresses were really beautiful. Now here Maddie got an idea that there was a chance for her to say sorry to Wanda. Okay, and she should go to Wanda's place, stop her, to tell her that she had won the competition and they were wrong because she had really 100 beautiful dresses with the sketches which she had drawn, and they were wrong. She wanted to tell Wanda everything. She wanted to regret. She wanted to say sorry to her. So she looked at Peggy. She had a glance at Peggy, but Peggy was busy in her work. She was studying seriously, and she thought after the class she would be there with Peggy to Wanda's house. When school was dismissed in the afternoon, Peggy said with pretended casualness, "Hey, let's go and see if that kid has left town or not." So Peggy had the same idea. Maddie glowed. Peg was really all right. So after the school got dismissed, Peggy herself, she asked Maddie that they should move to Wanda because she should not have left the town. Okay. She might be feeling regretful like Maddie, so she was eager to go to Wanda's place. For that, she asked Maddie to join to her. So listening to that, Maddie glowed. Maddie was very happy to Peggy to realize her mistake. So according to Maddie, Peggy was all right, really all right. The two girls hurried out of the building, up the street towards Boggins Heights, the part of the town that was such a forbidding air on this kind of a November afternoon, drizzling, damp and dismal. Drizzly, damp and dismal means wet and sad, but here expressing a state of hopelessness. So the place where Wanda lived was Boggins Height, and it was expressing, the place itself expressed the hopelessness. In the air there was a hope, there was a feeling of hopelessness. Well, at least, so both the girls, they moved towards Boggins Height. Well, at least, said Peggy gruffly, I never did call her a foreigner or make fun of her name. I never thought she had the sense to know we were making fun of her anyway. I thought she was too dumb. And gee, look how she can draw. So yeah, while on the way, Peggy is telling to Maddie that she never wanted to tease Wanda by her name. She didn't mean to, but she was teasing Wanda. Okay, but not by her name. But she was wrong. Okay, because Wanda, she had won the competition and she could draw beautiful sketches. She had proved Peggy wrong. Maddie could say nothing. All she hoped was that they would find Wanda. She wanted to tell her that they were sorry they had picked on her and how wonderful the whole school thought she was, and please not to move away and everybody would be nice. So here Maddie is not at all listening to what Peggy is saying. She is in her thoughts and she's thinking that she's hoping that Wanda would not have moved from her place, and she should say sorry to Wanda and plead to her to stop and to join the school again. No one would tease her. Okay, she wanted to assure Wanda this thing. The two girls hurried on. They hoped to get to the top of the hill before dark. I think that's where the Petrinsky live, said Maddie, pointing to a little white house. Wisps of old grass stuck up here and there along the pathway like thin kittens. The house and its sparse little yard looked shabby but clean. It reminded Maddie of Wanda's one dress, her faded blue cotton dress, shabby but clean. Okay, finally they have reached the top of the Boggins Height, and they have located a house which Maddie thought it should be of Wanda. So when they reached there, they found it was little bit shabby. The yard was little bit shabby, but it was clean, and it reminded Maddie one of the blue dresses of Wanda which she used to wear. The blue dress which was shabby but it was clean. There was not a sign of life about the house. Peggy knocked firmly on the door, but there was no answer. She and Maddie went around to the backyard and knocked there. Still there was no answer. So what happened when they reached the house? Peggy firmly she knocked at the door, but when they reached the house, they found no sign of life over there. So there was no sign of people living over there. She firmly knocked at the door. No answer she got. Then both the girls, they went backyard and they knocked the door over there, but still they got no answer. So till here we'll study in this video. We'll study the next half part of the story, this lesson in our next video. Till then, go through this chapter. Okay, go through this video once again and read the summary in the refresher, and leave your comment in the comment box. Thank you.